Hello, I'm James Flowerdew. I'm going to give a talk. I hope you like the word This is going to be quite a random talk. I'm trained firstly as a fine artist, and then I studied illustration. Academically, illustration was a much better fit for me. You'll see that my stuff is quite fantasy orientated, slightly odd. So it seemed quite natural that I went into doing video games. I spent about 15 years building video games. A lot of them were they're all web games, but a lot of them were quite experimental, 3D action based. Obviously, I'm here to talk about Jethro, Jetty, and my various attempts to kind of interact with him. Jethro is non-verbal. He's got autism, and he's also probably got quite profound learning disabilities, but we're not really sure of all of that, to be honest. He's very affectionate. Autism, Jethro kind of breaks some of the rules, but he has enough of it to be in that category. There are a lot of people around Jethro that are really good with him, and in fact, last year he was in a play with Ellie. In this picture you can't see Ellie. She's actually behind that tree. I had to hide from Jethro or I'd have been too distracting. Okay, so back to me. How have I coped with this? How have I interacted with Jethro? Have I been able to connect with him meaningfully? Stuff like that. Jethro enjoys what I call twinkly things, kind of sensory experiences, and this is something I can share with him. This is him under a bridge, making noises and enjoying the echoes, and I like doing that too. This is streetlights. Jethro had a big thing about streetlights a while back, and I did that video. He wasn't that excited by it. This is the fourth bridge. I'm not that wild on the fourth bridge, and I have taken thousands of photographs of the fourth bridge. Jethro's got a big thing about it. He has books about it and stuff like that. I went on to do a painting for him and about him when I kind of moved away from games a bit. And, here I've kind of tried to make him look almost kind of saint-like, but I've given him streetlights. There's Ripley water. He's a big fan of Ripley water too. And this is the first thing I ever tried to build for Jethro. It was built for Jethro in the sense that I was in a games company, and my time was theoretically for that, so it's for Jethro in the world. But I quite like that, really. Jethro's not allergic to challenge, and it was quite fun building something that all kids would enjoy. That's important to me. This is actually my latest, and it's just really a camera toy. Flashing lights, various camera effects that I could do. Jethro really quite likes this one too. The last game I showed you, it actually took him 3 years to show any real genuine interest in it. But this one, immediate hit. You'll notice you can hear Jethro in the background. This was more with the idea of kind of role play. Like I said, I think when you build something for disabled people, it's great if you can involve the rest of the world in the same way that it would be great for the rest of the world to be involved with disabled people. And on we go. There's my instructions for this. This is the largest thing I've got in here. This is a full 3D game. This was built specifically for Jethro. I've never made any attempt to make this one public or anything like that until now. Another quick moment looking at the instructions. And here we are out. This is kind of the core of the game, the fourth rail bridge. Jethro, as I said, really likes the fourth rail bridge, and if anything, the fourth rail bridge in its static self in the middle of the game that you can fly around is the one thing that Jethro has really connected with. He has spent many an hour jumping about that. But over to the dominoes. Jethro has spent hours watching YouTube videos. Specifically, one of the things he watches is videos about domino runs. So I thought it would be fun if there was somewhere where you could build domino runs. And, you know, I've stuck ramps in it and stuff like that to make it a bit more exciting. These strange stone-like objects are kind of interactive bridges that change your colour. And that should hopefully happen in a moment. So many colours is grabbed from a video on YouTube. It's kind of like one of the catchphrases they have. I'm afraid I do use other people's stuff in here as a means to link specifically to Jethro. Obviously, if I was going to do something more serious, I'd have to take all of that sort of stuff out. This is actually quite hard to build stuff in. It needs quite a lot of technical, well, not technical, but game skill. But that's okay. Jethro is quite good at game skill, and also I keep going back to that, but I quite like the idea that inverted commas ordinary children can interact with these things and be challenged by it too. I think there would be something really quite special in building stuff for children with autism or various conditions that actually connects with everybody else, the wider world. Wouldn't it be great having Jethro wowing other kids? As a note, he can play Sonic the Hedgehog to an extent that wows most kids. This is also the landscape. I've not gone for a traditional kiddie feel. Jethro actually quite likes traditional kiddie feel, but he quite likes realism too. Oh, a blue train. No references to Thomas there whatsoever. That has nothing to do with Thomas the Tank Engine. And that little object down there has nothing to do with Hetty the Hoover. Jethro's got a big thing about Hetty the Hoover. And in fact a video where Hetty goes to a disco. So here are a bunch of Hettys partying on, or at least cleaning up, on a disco floor. And some bubbles. Jethro likes bubbles. There are things in this game that are kind of hinting towards educational. We're about to head towards one, and obviously a minute ago we could hear red, green, blue. I have put stuff like that in there. Maybe part of that is a bit of stealth learning, but at the same time, Jethro quite likes educational stuff.
Why?
If it really distracted Jethro from having fun in this, I wouldn't have had anything educational in here. There'd have been no letters, numbers, colours or shapes, unless he actually really seems
Can
to
you
connect
find
to that. This actually challenges you if you want to. You can...
well done.
You can do a little game of hide and seek with the letters. It's actually really quite hard.
Can you find
I don't know who I was showing this to, but I couldn't find one of the letters.
Oh dear. Can you find
Again, I quite like that. You know, I think Jethro doesn't mind
done.
having challenges that are pretty hard. Yeah? If you've played Sonic, you know that. Right, onto the street lights. Street lights are musical street lights. These bridges in here have the role of triggering songs. So I think that was Frere Jacques, and now we're going to get another song. It's playing a little bit too fast because, wait for it, there was an error in the code, and that error in the code was slowing the game down, so I sat there tuning it and tuning it and tuning it until it was perfect, and then I fixed the error, and now it's super fast, although it does look really impressive at this speed. This doubles as assignment. You can go in here and you can you'll be prompted to kind of copy.
Oh dear.
So here we go. I'm going to try and copy it and fail. I seem to remember.
Well done.
It seemed to be the most fun thing I could do with streetlights, and Jethro, as I said, has got a bit of a thing about streetlights. This one is just a keyboard. I've actually built other toys to do with musical stuff with Jethro that have been more successful. He loves a theremin. Right, the fairground. Jethro likes fairgrounds. This carousel was unbelievably hard to do for all it's so simple. And the big wheel. Well, the big wheel, ironically, was easier, but it's really nice. At this point, it's worth mentioning that this game actually works in VR, so if you want to, you can stick a headset on and use a game controller, which is pretty nauseating on the fairgrounds, but that's actually one of Jethro's kind of things that he likes, if you know what I mean. Still, I think the bridge wins. And the Helter Skelter. This is probably his favourite fairgrounds thing, despite the fact it's fairly basic. And despite the fact that it breaks every VR rule in the book, it is totally sickening. I can do that about twice before I start feeling quite seriously unwell. And there's a train, and you'll notice that this is really unfinished, but in fact Jethro already really likes this train in its unfinished state. And above there are tightrope walks, which do nothing other than let you fall off them, and he likes them. I'd probably stick more lights on that in the future, make it a little bit more exciting. On to the boulder. There is an episode with a boulder in it of Thomas the Tank Engine, where a boulder causes mayhem. Again, I'm kind of trying to kind of tap into things that he likes. And generally, that works really well. My boulder knocks over shapes, and why does he knock over shapes? This is kind of, I don't know, the pleasure of games and physics. I have mixed in, and we should get to see it in a moment.
Hexagon.
Thing where you can fix the shapes, but it reasserts the names of the shapes. If anything, a lot of this educational stuff is really just there to sound good, make it feel more complete. I think I'd probably like to give the boulder more character. I think I'd like to make him say grumpy things.
Triangle.
And stuff like that. The triangle's really nice to watch rebuilding itself. I don't know how fast that happened. And now we're going to leave and have a look at something else, thank goodness. This is
Triangle.
a shape splitter. This one's really,
Red.
I think the other one was a bit obtrusive.
Square.
The shapes, you could be facing the wrong way when they all fire out. But
Rectangle.
This one's lovely and
Grey.
bright. And generally
So
Jethro
many
likes things like
colours.
this. Again, there was a YouTube
Oval.
video of somebody firing
Hexagon.
marbles down a computer-generated assault course, which Jethro absolutely loved. So
Circle.
just having pure, physics hedonism, I'm going to call it, seemed a good idea. And finally, there is actually a marble run. This actually works, but it doesn't work now, sadly. And it also, you can be a marble going down it, which in VR is truly nauseating, very intense. He likes this actually, but it's quite hard for him to use. I'll have to simplify it somehow. And that kind of brings me to the end. So I have lots of ideas, and I'm also quite interested to know what other people's ideas are and to know if I can help. Thank you.